All, welcome to the second session on fluid mechanics. I am Aniruddha from Maharaja Institute of Technology, Mysore, Department of Civil Engineering. If you remember what we had discussed in the last session, we had discussed the basics of mechanics, and I had told you that we will be starting with the syllabus and modules that we are going to study as part of the third semester syllabus. And the subject is titled Fluid Mechanics, and the code of the subject is 18 CV 33. It is very important for us to know why we are studying this subject, to know what we will be learning in this subject, and equally important is how do we commercialize this, what do we get out of this subject as part of the university score. That means this subject is also for 100 marks examination, which will be brought down to 60 marks, and in the internal assessment we will have 40 marks, wherein 30 marks is for your internal test or the written test, and the rest of the 10 marks, this 40 is split into 30 and 10. This 30 is the average of 3 internal tests that will be conducted for 30 marks, and this 10 is for the 2 assignments that you are going to submit to us. So in total 40 marks is for internal assessment, 60 marks is for external examination, but you will be writing the examination for 100 marks, and that will be reduced to 60 marks. Now, to do so, the 100 marks question paper is set as in the syllabus you have 5 modules. I will talk to you about each of the module now. These 5 modules each carry equal weightage. The question paper will be set for 200 marks basically, and you will have choices. You will only have to answer for 100 marks. Each module will carry 2 questions. Each module usually will have 2 parts in it, and the questions will be intermixed from the module. Why I am basically talking to you about all these things? You must be knowing these prerequisites, because you will have to plan how do you score well as how do you learn. When you learn, you will also have to learn for this from this perspective also. Now, each module will have 2 questions as I have told you, and that means you will have totally 10 questions in the question paper, and you will answer only 5 full questions, choosing 1 from each module. That will help you fetch good marks. Now, my point here to begin with today's class is about the syllabus that we are going to study in this fluid mechanics. As you know, now you will have 5 modules, and the first year students that are from the PU background who studied first year BE with us will know the module system. However, I will brief it to you again. This is called choice based credit system, wherein you can choose your you can choose your questions and answer only those questions. That means when you have to study, you will have to study to gain knowledge, as well you will have to plan to score well. First module in this syllabus, again one clue I will take from the previous class. I had told you that fluid mechanics is a branch of science that deals with the fluids, the action of forces on the fluids at rest or in motion. Now, the fluids at rest, when you study the action of forces on fluids at rest, you call that part of fluid mechanics as fluid statics. Static means that which is not in motion. So, the study of fluids at rest, or the study of action of forces on fluids at rest, that wing of fluid mechanics is called fluid statics. Whereas, once the fluid starts to move and you study the action of forces on fluid in motion, but without considering the pressure forces, that branch of fluid mechanics is called fluid kinematics. And you consider the fluid in motion and you would wish to study the action of forces on moving fluid considering the pressure forces, that part of fluid mechanics is called fluid dynamics. And know what, in this syllabus spread over 5 modules, you will study about all these 3 branches of fluid mechanics. You will be introduced to fluid statics in first 1.5 modules. you would be studying fluid kinematics exclusively in the second half of the second module, whereas the next 3 modules will deal with fluid dynamics. As the name suggests, statics, and when you go to module 1, you will have to be introducing to fluids. So the first module, first part is fluids and their properties, and the second part of the first module will deal with pressure and its measurement, whereas the second module in this will deal with hydrostatic pressure forces. Hydro means water, so you will basically study about the pressure exerted by water on different bodies, that is hydrostatic pressure forces and their measurement. And the second part of second module, as I have already mentioned, deals exclusively on kinematics. And the third module will deal with fluid dynamics. How do we study the dynamics of fluids? We will study it with the help of Bernoulli's equation, and its applications are studied in the second part of third module. Fourth module will be about orifices and mouthpieces, that means measurement of discharge will be studied there, and finally in the fifth module it is about pipe flow. This is the brief structure of the syllabus that we are going to study as part of this third semester fluid mechanics. Now I will take up the first module and we will go as prescribed in the syllabus. So the first module is fluids and their properties. Fluids and their properties. What is a fluid? I had told you yesterday the states of the matter that is available on earth are now classified only into solids and fluids. That means anything that has the capacity to flow can be classified as a fluid. Both liquid and gas has that capacity, so liquid as well as gas becomes fluid. Now what are we supposed to study about it? Before I get into the properties of fluids, I must know what a fluid is. So I will have to differentiate between solid and fluid first. So I will first take up solid, though it is not part of the syllabus, the solids, but you must be knowing, and there is a possibility of asking a question like differentiate between solids and fluids. Though it looks like a very premature question for this level, you should be answering it in the technical manner, not just like the molecules in the solids are closely packed and that in the liquids are not so closely packed and in the gases it is loosely packed. Though they are correct, that will not be sufficient if you answer in that manner. You will have to study solids and fluids from the engineering perspective. So in whichever matter you consider, whether it is solid or fluid, you will test it under 3 conditions. Very, very important. What will happen if these 3 forces are applied on this body is the matter of study. Those 3 forces or those 3 pressures, you may consider them as tensile force, compressive force and shear force. Now what is tensile force, what is compressive force, what is shear force? These are the 3 things that you must know prior to studying what will happen when solid is subjected to tensile force, when solid is subjected to compressive force or shear force, or a fluid is subjected to tensile, compressive or shear force. First you must know what is tensile force, compressive force and shear force. Now what is, have you ever heard about tension? That you always that people will be always talking about, mentioning about the tensions that they are under in their lives. Then what do we mean by tension? What do we mean by compression and what do we mean by shear? Now I will take up compression first. Now I have a piece of chalk in my hand, and if I now press this from, or if I subject this piece of chalk under force from this direction, and in the same plane if I also subject the same piece of chalk in the opposite direction, this is called compression. I will write this. So this is the piece of chalk, and if I apply the force like this, this is called compression. The usual example that I would have given in the class is, I would choose any 3 students sitting adjacent to each other, and this student sitting at the center, I would ask 2 students adjacent to him to push him. That becomes the example for compression. Now, what is the example for tensile force? I would ask the same 2 students to pull that person sitting at the center and in the same plane. This is the example for or the depiction of tension. So, this is the compressive force, this is the tensile force. Now, the other part is shear. The example I would quote here is, if the person sitting at the center, his leg is pulled by one person and his hand is pulled by the other person, the same body is subjected to 2 forces but at different planes, then you can consider it to be shear. In Kannada, shear means ಕತ್ತರಿಸೋ ಅಂತ ಫೋರ್ಸು. ಸೊ ಆ ಕತ್ತರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಈ ಥರ ಎಳಿಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ shear force. Now, the concept you will be understanding with respect to solid and fluid will be how they behave under these 3 forces. Now, I will consider, I will tell you about solid. What is a solid? So, in solid, you know, basically molecules are very closely packed and it has definite volume and definite shape. What happens when solid is subjected to compression, tension and shear? Please understand one thing, when solid is subjected to all these 3 up to a certain level, it will withstand all those forces and then fail when it is exceeded, when the forces are exceeded. But in case of fluid, it is different. Now, I will split fluid into liquids and gases for better understanding. Now, what happens in case of a liquid? When the liquid is subjected to tensile force, it is weak against tensile forces. A liquid is weak against tensile forces but very, very strong against compressive forces, and hence liquids are also called incompressible fluids. Incompressible fluids. ಕಂಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಗಮನಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲನೂ ಇನ್ಕಂಪ್ರೆಸಿಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. when you hold a bottle of water and you press it, the resistance that is shown is because of, it is not just because of the boundary of the fluid. If you see this water bottle which is full of water, I say the water is a liquid and hence is a fluid. When I press this, if the boundary of this is, the boundary means the bottle, if this itself is very, very strong, then compressive forces is borne by the surface. Even if this is not the case, the water which is a fluid, that itself is incompressible. You cannot compress it. That means it is an incompressible fluid. Whereas in gases, okay, I will also have to tell you about what happens when it is subjected to shear. When liquids are subjected to shear, they start moving. That is, they start moving one layer over the other layer like this. And this is called the flow of, this property itself is called flow. So, then only it becomes fluid. Now, when I come to the matter of gases, the molecules in the gases are very, very loosely packed and hence they do not have definite volume, neither do they have definite shape. In case of liquids, they assume the shape of the container, whereas in gases that is also not possible. Now, what happens when it is subjected to compression? It is very easily compressible. So, gases are called compressible fluids. And one thing in common about gases and liquids is what happens when they are subjected to shear. When they are subjected to shear, they start to flow and hence they are classified under fluids. I hope you could understand the basic difference between solids and fluids. To summarize, what is happening in solid is, whenever you subject solid into these 3 forces, up to a certain point, they do accept the force, and when the limit is crossed, they fail. Whereas in case of fluids, I split it into liquid and gases. Liquids may be termed as incompressible fluids as they are very strong against compression. Gases are compressible fluids because they are very weak against compression. In both liquids and gases, when you put them under shear, they obviously start to flow. That property is called flow of that property is called flow, and by virtue of that property they are called fluids. Moving ahead, before getting into the properties of fluids, I have just told you about the concept of fluid. Now, before I get into the properties of fluids, two more things that are very important to be understood. One is the measurement of any property will require a unit. So, I will talk to you about units, and in general I will talk to you about units, but specifically I will have to talk to you about SI units. What is a unit? ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಮಾನ. ಸೊ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿನೂ ನೀವು ಮಾನ ತೆಗೆದೇ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಅಂದರೆ ಆಲ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಅಕಾಂಪನಿಡ್ ಬೈ ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿದು ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಹೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದರದ್ದು ಮಾನ ತೆಗೆದಂಗೆ ನಮಗೆ. So you will also do not get complete marks if you do not write the units also. So you will also have to know the importance of units in the study of fluid mechanics. In many cases you can understand the concept by understanding the units. But before going to all those things, you must know what units are. What are they? I have told you in the last class, whenever you quantify something, you will have to you will get to know the quantity only with the unit. If I say he is a billionaire, a person having a billion paisa is not said to be a billionaire, but a person having billion rupees or billion dollars is said to be a billionaire. That means here paisa, rupee, dollars are the units by which we can understand the money. Similarly, if I tell you I have to travel a long distance, how much is a long distance? That we will not be knowing. 10 meters, is it a long distance? 10 kilometers, is it a long distance? In comparison, 10 kilometers becomes a long distance. Again, here meter, kilometer are units. Now I have to lift a heavy weight. How much is a heavy weight? 100 kgs, 200 kgs, 100 newtons or 1 newton. So you must know the difference between kilogram and newton, meter and centimeter, meter and millimeter, and similarly, you will have to know the units of all the quantities that you come across. So what are these quantities basically? Quantities are basically now bifurcated into two parts. One is primary quantity. The second one is secondary quantity. So which are the primary quantities? Very regularly used quantities may be termed as primary quantities. You have three primary quantities: mass, length and time are the three primary quantities using which all other quantities can be derived. I repeat, the secondary quantities are also called derived quantities. Using these primary quantities, you can derive any other quantity. That means these are the three things which are primary. That is why they are called primary quantities. So unit for mass in SI is kg. Unit for length is meter. Unit for time is second. You will have the habit of writing SEC for seconds in your PUC or first year degree, I do not know, but it has to be represented as S only. Now, what are the derived or secondary units? Say for example, we have already discussed about the acceleration yesterday. Say for example, I will take acceleration. What is the unit of acceleration? Rate of change of velocity is called acceleration, which is having the unit of meter per second square. Meter per second square is a derived unit, and that means acceleration is a derived quantity because it has mass and second twice. So it is a derived quantity. As I have already told you, any derived quantity will have in it components of primary quantity. Now, you will also have to know the conversion between these SI units. So I will give you a scale today using which you can definitely convert between them. Say for example, how much is a 100 millimeter? How do we convert 100 millimeter into meter? How do we convert 10 kilometer into meters? These are the things that you must be basically knowing. So I will start from 10 power 0, which is nothing but 1. To the left, I will go with the negative scale. To the right, I will go with the positive scale. 10 power minus 2 I will take, because in length we will measure this 10 power minus 2. Otherwise, I would have gone with 10 power minus 3, 10 power minus 6, 10 power minus 9. But here, just because of measurement of length, I will need 10 power minus 2. What is 10 power minus 2 meters called? If 10 power 0 is 1, and I will term it as meter. If in that case, I will write kg meter second, as I have written for mass, length and time. In fact, LMT, that is called length, mass and time. I will write in that order only, so that it is helpful for you. Length, mass and time. What is 10 power minus 2? If this is meter, what is 10 power minus 2 meter? You already know it. This is nothing but centi. Cent means 100. So centimeter. Centimeter is 10 power minus 2 meter. Now 10 power minus 3. 10 power minus 3 is called milli. So this is millimeter. Next, 10 power minus 6. This is micrometer. 10 power minus 9. Nanometer. 10 power minus 12. Picometer. On the right hand side, wherein we are going for positive scale, it is 10 power plus 3. What is this? Kilometer. 10 power 6. Megameter. 10 power 9. Gigameter. 10 power 12. Tera. So I usually say, on the left hand side you have Western ladies, on the right hand side you have Indian ladies. Mega, Geeta, Tara on the right side, Micro, Mini on the left side. That is easier to remember. So you will have this scale for your reference for the entire subject, because you will always have to be able to convert from millimeter to centimeter or meter to kilometer. Like that, you will have to be repeatedly using this scale, which will be helpful in learning the subject. Now moving ahead, I will get into the properties of fluids. Properties of fluids. ಈ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಏನನ್ನು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಕಲಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು, ಈಗ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈಸೂರು. ವೆದರ್ ದಿ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ದಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈಸೂರು ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಸೇಮ್ ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ಅದರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಆರ್ ಅದರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. ಹೌ ಡು ವಿ ನೋ ದಟ್? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕುಡಿಯೋ ನೀರು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಡಿಯೋ ನೀರಿಗೂ ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಡಿಯೋ ನೀರಿಗೂ ಏನಾದರೂ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಬೇರೆ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಡಿಯೋ ನೀರಿಗೂ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಬೇರೆ ಊರುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸುವಂಥ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್ಸು ಅಥವಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋವಂಥ ಏರ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಅದೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಟು ನೋ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟು ಲರ್ನ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್. If I want to learn the properties of water, the property that I am learning about water in Mysore has to be the same, or the parameters has to be the same for the water that I am studying here and elsewhere. So I will have to have an assumption, that is nothing but concept of fluid as a continuum. A very important concept which forms the basis for the study of fluids or classical fluid mechanics. ಈಗ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಯಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲಿಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಆ ನಂತರ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ ನಾವು. ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಯಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ ದಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಯಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಎ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಯಮ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ಡೇ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಇರೋದು ಅಂತ ನಾವೀಗ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅಥವಾ ದಿ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಈಸ್ ನೌ ಟು ಬಿ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ a continuously divisible matter which is having the same property all throughout, and that is how I can conceptualize this and then study about it. And if I study the properties here with the same parameters, I will study elsewhere. The properties may vary. The liquid that I am using, the water that I am using here in my country may be different from the water that some other part of the world is using, but the parameters through which I study them remains the same. That is based on the concept of fluid as a continuum. ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಅಡುಗೆಗಿಟ್ಟಾಗ ಮೊದಲು ಹಳೆ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ, ಇವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಕುಕ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಹಳೆ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಅಡುಗೆ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಅನ್ನ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಅಗಳನ್ನ ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಅಗಳು ಬೆಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಅನ್ನ ಏನು ನೀವು ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅದಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಆ ಥರ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ, ಈಗ ನಾನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಲು ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಗೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಅಗಳು ನೋಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ. ಯು ಆರ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಆವರೇಜ್, ವೆರಾಸ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ microscopic study. In this microscopic study you will have to pick ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಅಗಳನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದು ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದು ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ, ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್. ಸೊ ಯು ರಿಲೈ ಮೋರ್ ಆನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ. ಸೊ ನಮಗೆ ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮದು ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಈ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಈ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋದು ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ, ಸ್ಪೀಡು, ಆಕ್ಸಲರೇಷನ್ ನೀವು ಏನೇ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದ್ರೂ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಆವ್ರೇಜ್ ಅಥವಾ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಥ್ರೂ ಔಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಭಾವಿಸ್ತೀವೋ ಈ ಅಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ನನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಎ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಯಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ to study about the properties of the fluid, or that's why I have told you that this forms the basis for study of classical fluid mechanics. The entire study of fluid mechanics depends on the concept of fluid as a continuum, or the assumption of concept of fluid as a continuum. With this basis, that means the macroscopic study basis, I am going to study about the properties of fluids. There are 4 basic properties of fluids which we will be discussing in this class before we wind up, and those 4 properties are of utmost importance, though remaining properties are also studied later. The 4 that we are going to study, the set of 4 that we are going to discuss today in this class are of utmost importance. As I have told you, there are 4 properties. I will not go with the number, but I will go with the concept. Now, when you look into a liquid, what are the things that you will that you are striked with? What are the things that you will be requiring to know about a liquid? That becomes the property. When you lift water, you always I hope you take bath every day. That means you lift water every day. When you lift the water, what do you feel? You will feel lifting the bucket and lifting the mug of water. Are they different? Yes, of course they are different. Lifting the mug is easier, whereas lifting the bucket is difficult. Why? Mug has a small volume, whereas the bucket has a bigger volume. That means there is a link between mass and volume. Can you notice that? You will have a mug of water which is easier to lift, and you will have a bucket of water which is difficult to lift. Why? Because bucket has a bigger volume and hence the mass or weight is more, and the mug of water has smaller volume and hence it contains only less water and obviously less weight or mass, and that means to say you have a relationship between mass and volume. Using that link, I will give you the first property, which is called mass density. Mass density or specific mass or simply density. This is very easier to remember and understand, and I assure you, if you understand this property, you will easily understand the remaining 3 properties, and you will also remember it. You will be asked this question for 10 marks in the examination, which is very easier to score as well. Now, what is mass density? And I have told you that there is a link between mass and volume, based on which this property has come into existence. Now, I will go back to the exercise that I had told you of lifting the water in the mug and lifting the water in the bucket. Now, as the volume has increased, the mass that it has contained has also increased. Now, if density, as the name suggests, it has to talk to you about the nature of denseness. What denseness, the density of what we are talking about? We are talking about the density of water. Now, if I talk about water, it becomes the density of water. If I talk to you about an oil, it becomes the density of oil. So, in general, if I talk to you about the density of a fluid, that fluid has to be, you are checking the density of the fluid. That means you are filling it to some volume and checking how much mass can be put into a particular given volume. So, this becomes mass by volume. How much mass of a fluid you can fill into a unit volume is called density of that fluid. I repeat, how much mass you can fill in the unit volume is nothing but the density of that fluid. And if I elaborate, or if I give you more precise definition, density or mass density or specific mass is defined as the mass of the fluid per unit volume of the fluid. That means, what is the unit of mass? Unit of mass is kg and unit of volume is meter cube. Unit of density is kg per meter cube. What happens when mass is increased? What happens when mass is increased in the given volume? Say for example, in my house I have a 1000 liter capacity water tank. In 1000 liters of water tank, I can only put 1000 liters. 1000 liters will have certain mass. If I remove water and I will still have 1000 liter capacity tank, and if I fill petrol into it, it will, how much will it weigh? That is very important. That is what differentiates between the fluids. Petrol thinnagiruttೋ ನೀರು ತಿನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಇವಾಗ ಗಾಡಿ ಓಡಿಸೋ ಹಂಗಾಗಿರ್ತೀರ, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಬಂಕಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಯೂಯಲ್ ತುಂಬ್ಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರ. ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಹಾಕ್ಸುವಾಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆನ್ಸಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಬರೆದಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ರೇಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಡೆನ್ಸಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರದ್ದು ಡೆನ್ಸಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಟು ಥಿಂಕ್ how dense water is in comparison with petrol, how dense castor oil is in comparison with water. These are the things that you will have to develop over a period of time, which when understood, which will make it easier to understand the concept of density. As I have told you, it is mass by volume. So, how much mass can be put in unit volume defines the density of a fluid. Now, that is why I asked what happens when mass is increased per unit volume. That means numerator is becoming large. Obviously, density also increases. Now, going to the, as I had promised, if you can understand this definition properly, rest of the 3 definitions will only follow this. Second one is specific weight or weight density. If you have gone through thoroughly about the previous class, you know the difference between mass and weight. Mass is kept in terms of kgs, whereas weight is a force. How can you convert how can you convert mass into weight? By multiplying it with acceleration due to gravity. So the definition will only change by a very simple term. Specific gravity is equal to, specific weight is equal to weight by volume. That means how much weight of the body is contained in the given volume signifies the weight density or specific weight. That means what is weight? You know that weight is nothing but mass into acceleration due to gravity g divided by volume. But now you know that mass by volume, just now you have written mass by volume as rho, nothing but density. So gamma is equal to rho into g. But what is the unit of it? Very, very important. You know that basically it is weight by volume. What is the unit of weight? Weight is a force. Force has a unit of Newton. So Newton per volume is nothing but meter cube. So specific weight is kept in terms of Newton per meter cube. Also remember this, it can be kept in terms of specific volume, it can be kept in terms of specific mass or mass density also. And you have a standard liquid and standard gas, for which you should be readily knowing what is the density and weight density. Which is the standard liquid? Most used and most easily accessible liquid is nothing but water. So you must know the density of water. I will write this as rho W for density. Density of water I will write it as rho W, represent it as rho W. It is 1000 kg per meter cube. What is a meter cube? I have told you that it is 1 meter length, 1 meter width and 1 meter height. If you dig that tank of 1 meter width, 1 meter depth and 1 meter height, you can fill 1000 liters of water. That is the meaning of this density. If you have 1 meter cube space, you can fill 1000 liters of water, and hence the density of water is 1000 kg per meter cube. Similarly, standard gas is air. The density of air is 1 kg per meter cube. That means if you have 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter of volume tank, you can fill only 1 kg of gas, 1 kg of air. Now using these two, density of water and density of air, which is more denser? One can easily answer water is denser than air. How much times denser? It is obviously seen on the board. It can be filled with air, can be 1 kg of air can be filled in 1 meter cube, whereas 1000 kgs of water can be filled in a meter cube. That means water is 1000 times denser than air. And similarly, when I come to specific weight, now specific weight, you should also know the specific weight of water and air. Now you can write this, gamma of water is, you can observe here, rho into g. G is nothing but acceleration due to gravity, that is not going to change. So if you are writing gamma of water, then you will have to write it as rho of water into g. Rho of water is 1000, just now I have mentioned, into 9.81, that means 9810 unit. What is unit? Unit of density, unit of weight density is Newton per meter cube. And similarly, weight density of air must be density of air multiplied by g. It has to be 9.81 Newton per meter cube. Moving on to the third important property, that is, now what you have studied here about density, in case of density it is the mass that can be put into a given volume. Now you will study the reciprocal of it, which is called specific volume. You will have a given mass and how much volume it occupies if you study, that becomes the specific volume. I repeat, here you studied in the given volume how much mass can be put. Now we will study in the given mass occupies how much space. the specific volume is nothing but reciprocal of rho. Before I write this, I must write to you it is nothing but volume by mass. That means for a given mass, how much volume is required. So this obviously will have a unit of meter cube per kg, and you can easily understand that it is 1 by rho. And finally, and most importantly, you will study about specific gravity or relative density. Relative density. As the name itself suggests, it is relative. You must know the properties by virtue of their specific gravity straight away. Now, I have compared here density of water with density of air, and I have also told you that water is the standard liquid and air is the standard gas. Now, in any class, if you are present here physically, ನಮಗೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಯಾರು ಎತ್ತರ ಯಾರು ಕುಳ್ಳ. ಹೌ ಡು ವಿ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ದಟ್ ಯಾರು ದಪ್ಪ ಯಾರು ಸಣ್ಣ ಯಾರು ಬೆಳ್ಳಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಯಾರು ಕರ್ರಿಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಾಮನ್. ಹೌ ಡು ವಿ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಸೇ ದ್ಯಾಟ್? ಸೊ ಒಬ್ಬ ಹುಡುಗ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಒಂದು 5.5 ಇಂದ 6 ಅಡಿ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ನೋಷನ್. Those who are below 5.5 feet, you will usually term them as short. Those who are 6 feet, you will tell that they are tall. That point of reference is very, very important. Now, for liquids, water is the reference. For gas, air is the reference. Specific gravity or relative density does only this. This specific gravity gives you the comparison of any fluid with the standard fluid. So, the definition should be, it is the ratio of, why it becomes ratio? Because it has to compare any fluid, any given fluid with the standard fluid. So, I will write it as density of given fluid with density of standard fluid, or it can be density or weight density. What is weight density? I have given it this symbol of given density, weight density of given to weight density of standard. And just by looking at the specific gravity, you can suggest which one is denser, or whether the given fluid is denser than the standard fluid or not. That can easily be understood. And if you know the density of the standard fluid and its specific gravity, you can easily calculate what is the density of the given fluid. And if you know the density of the given fluid, you can easily find out what is its specific gravity. I will take it for water. What should be the specific gravity of water? So, density of given. Density of given means water is only given now. Density of water divided by density of standard. Density of standard liquid is also water. That means specific gravity of water is 1. Now, since the specific gravity of the standard liquid is 1, any liquid that has specific gravity less than 1 are termed as the less denser liquids. Any liquid which has specific gravity greater than 1 has to be termed as the liquids that are denser than the standard liquid. This is how you must understand. Now, from now onwards, just by the sight of specific gravity, you must be able to suggest what is the density of it, what is the weight density of it. That is the level to which you will have to now come to. I hope these 4 properties will help you and help you understand the rest of the concepts in fluid mechanics. We will wind up this class at this point. Thank you.